Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the 9-time GSL champion in the blue, the man, the myth, the Maru. Facing off against the best Protoss player in the world and the current GSL champion. Not the Protoss we deserve, but the one we need right now. A hero. In a best-of-5 Protoss versus Terran showdown between Maru's calculated, precise timings and Hero's drunken brawler Protoss, I think we're in store for a good time, but not necessarily a long time, which gives me very little time to beg you to smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. Help me out of the algorithm. Jimmy, what are we at? No cringing. 1,638 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better than the Protoss as the Terrans playing their favorite game. Well, one of them. Ring around the Nexus as the Adept doesn't quite have the range to chase it down. Forced to chase after instead. The Reaper pops up some probes. Will take a hit, picks off a probe, and gets a... Oh, never mind. The Stalker doing what it does best, which is stalk, and knocks the Reaper off the cliff and is able to avenge that first probe. And now Hero will take his entire army and send it across the map. Now, his entire army is a Stalker and an Adept. But, well, we'll see if he recalls why that's a bad idea as this, runs right into the Cyclone, and the Adept will suffer the price for it, which, if it was going to be one of those two units, the Adept definitely a better one. And you know what they say. That which doesn't kill you makes you question why the Terrans are the only ones with technology to both heal and repair, and why taking a few extra shots is permanent damage to the advanced alien Protoss. But, and also occasionally in niche scenarios makes you stronger, as they say. But Blink on the way, Robo behind. Hero not cutting any corners here. He needs as many edges as possible to deal with whatever Maru's bringing to the table. Maru building a second barracks on 2 base quite early on. Clearly intending on some bio pressure. Widowmine drop heads out. Adept Shade heads in. And we'll try to sniff its ethereal nose up against the depots and try to figure out what's going to follow it up. Tech Lab Factory means siege tanks for sure. Maru surely anticipating the Blink Stalkers, as that's Hero's bread and buttered biscuit. Widowmine drop heading towards the main Cyclone. Trying to hunt the Adept, won't find it. Blink, still a few seconds off as the medevac. One Widowmine taken out. Sacrifice not accepted on that second mine. Maru gonna fish for more, but the mine drop is diffused. But this means that Hero will not have the Blink Stalkers across the map at the quickest possible moment. The mine drop itself kind of keeps Hero anchored back at home with at least a few units, though I don't think he's going to be too intimidated by a medevac with 1 mine in it. Thinking about a 3rd base, and now it's up to Maru to defend against the Blink Stalkers as cost effectively as possible and build up to whatever attack he's intending on doing, and for Hero to do as much damage as possible with the... Oh no, the first tank pops out. It's a disaster. Well, that certainly is far from ideal. Ghetto blinking back with the Prism as well. Picks off several SCVs alongside it. He gets a tank and he opens up the damage with no losses. Meanwhile, medevac comes in. Widowmine. But Hero's on the draw. Will sacrifice a single probe. Tries to pick it up into the medevac. Gets past the mineral line and knocked out of the sky. So the mine has been diffused, but a Raven with an auto turret actually going to pick up several kills here. A total of 5 probes dead, which means Hero is at a 1-worker lead. Not exactly where you want to be, though he does have that 3rd Nexus finishing up. Building up a dangerous amount of Stalkers at the front. Leads with a single Stalker to eat the tank shot, and now will try to eat the tank itself, which is impressive for units that don't have mouths. Meanwhile, the bunker is taken down as well, and that first siege tank getting picked off is making things so difficult for Maru back at home. Another tank comes down the ramp, but doesn't make it much further than that, which means the Stalkers are going to make their way through. Blunks forward as the siege tanks try to move in. Does he have... He has an observer. He saw the exact timing. He knows the moment that Maru moves, and he totally didn't use the F2 key. in order to select army. He just has 2 observers because he has 2 eyes. Duh. As long as you only blink with 1, it'll be perfectly fine. Winky face. Jimmy, edit that out. Oh, that's the tank unsieges. And Hero moves in. The observer is spotted, obviously, by the Raven, but it was heavily implied. And now, with no siege tanks behind, the Stalkers are just picking their way through the Marines. Auto turret is dropped down. Another tank draws the fire in, obliterates a Stalker. Boys pulled off the line, including the mules. And Maru. It's a very tough scenario. He's building 2 more barracks, but Hero has a 3rd base. He's got 62 probes. He's building 5 more gates. He knows he needs to build up enough army. Shift blanking into the main. The Tech Lab stim 10 seconds out. And it's reset from the beginning. Stim pack is denied. And things go from bad to worse for the Korean Terran. Gets a consolation Stalker. I mean, he is pretty famous, but... Maru hurtling towards a all-in scenario. He's got 5 racks. He has to restart stim. Cyclone taken down. Siege tank. Avoided for now. But a scan will spot. He sees more gateways on the way. There's no Robo Bay for Hero. There's no Templar Archives. He has no splash temp. But Maru can't know that for a fact. Okay? Maru's trying to get an idea of whether he has time to get to Stim, Combat Shield, and Medivacs. The highest percentage play here. Well, you've got the Marines, the Marauders, the Medivacs, the Mines, the Matanks, the M. And he's going to have 1 shot. He's going to have 1 strong opportunity. And the question really is, can he capture it? Or will Hero slap it out of his hands? As the Blink Stalkers are here to whittle down anything that tries to get out of the base without a fully committed force. The Warp Prism is trying to anchor as many units at home as possible. But are the boys? Maru? I'm surprised. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. The boys are... He waited a little longer. I think he didn't want to show it to the main army, but the boys are headed across the map, and the timer has started on this game. If Hero is able to hold, Maru will have nothing left back at home. But this is a lot of army supply. Maru has an army supply lead. He has combat shield and stim. 1-1 isn't quite done, and there's no splash damage on this army for Hero. Guardian shield used. 3 immortals coated with the Dorito Dust anti-armor missile. The boys tanking all the damage, and Maru is tearing apart the front line. Force field will lock in some of the SCVs, but the Robo depowered? No, there's another pylon behind. But I think the Robo could be targeted. The Colossus is so close. Warp Prism comes back around. Charge Lots try to tank. 1-1 nearly done, but Hero went for a 4th base. The Colossus is knocked out, and Maru rolling past with the Bio Ball. The upgrades are finally finished for Hero, but I think he got a little bit too greedy. He assumed Maru was going to try to take it to a later game, but Maru was just picking his timing. And Hero now going towards a base trade, trying to cut off, well, at least cut off some of the reinforcements. Hero still has an economy. He still has the probes. A lot of the SCVs for Maru on the other side of the map. Even though he's building some more, down goes another medevac. Supplies 101 to 103. The main base is being gutted for Hero. Maru is just ripping it apart with the Marines and Marauders, but you can't recall Terran units. He recalls away probes. The barracks are in the air. The command center's in flight. Maru now a refugee Terran, but he needs at least 1 more G to take this game. Blinks past a Whittle Mine, more coming out. And this has become a straight-up elimination race. They say don't base trade at Terran, partially because this, I am forced to remind you that in order to win a game of StarCraft 2, you must destroy all your opponent's buildings. If those buildings are flying and you don't have any air units to deal with them, that makes things difficult. And if Hero runs out of Nexi, how long on recall? Too long. Another Nexus will go down. The production, there's a bunch of SCVs in the main, which actually, the probes on the run. Madness. The command center is being targeted. Hero. That Raven is still alive. That's so important here. That's so helpful in this fight. Possibly the most important individual unit. Gets the command center, but Hero, his army, is not what it needs to be. He doesn't have Colossi. There's no Templar of any flavor. Maru's at 75/0 supply. And has not rebuilt his base and is being revealed. He does not have the minerals. Hero could fight for a draw. But we're back to the Blinkstalkers picking things off. Hero has re-expanded. He has exactly 0 minerals. He's building 2 cannons. He has the Immortals here. Guardian Shield gonna be important. The probes pulled off the line. SCVs versus probes. Marines on the back line. And the DPS is far too high. Maru will be taking this one. Hero, as always, fights to the bitter end. And this much closer to a direct elimination than usual. But the probes have nowhere to go. The Blinkstalkers, I mean, at this point, Hero can no longer mine. So at best, in some sort of dream hallucination world, it's a draw, but it is not. Hero's buildings cannot fly away. They are being revealed, and he has not rebuilt his base, nor can he. The Blinkstalker. Now, Hero doesn't have now he does. He sees the army. It's too much. Hero in typical Hero fashion. Needs one of himself, but this is partially just to dictate the rest of the series. He's done this again. He does this against everything. Hero, 99% chance of failure. But there's a 1% chance of the most dramatic victory. And a very good chance that Maru gets a little tilted, like most Terran players do. And it affects the rest of the series. Picks off the Raven. But again, permanent damage. The stalemate timer won't begin. Oh no, the Widow Mine! Knocks out the Prism. Puts an exclamation point on the end of this game. Or what I assume will be the end of this game. He's really, really milking these Blinkstalkers, which is a weird visual indeed, but come back here so I can milk you some more Blinkstalkers. Don't say that. Just don't speak. Hero. Not even enough to one-shot the Marines, but maybe well, if he wasn't being revealed, that's the... Does he has enough money. He has enough money to warp into... I love you, Hero. Okay? But unfortunately, Hero is forced to tap out in game number 1 with 1 supply, and Maru will take that 1 and put it on the board for himself. What a way to open things up. Game 2 on Torches, with Hero not really respecting Maru's commitment. I don't think he was giving Maru the benefit of the doubt. He's like, Maru, you're not just gonna pull the boys and go all in. You're too respectable for that. But again, disappointed. Okay, it is hard to read whether a Terran is going to commit. Literally, until they pull the boys, you can't know for sure. But Hero going for a 4th base, double forge before Robo Bay, he cut some corners. He didn't have the edges he needed. And the fact he was able to bring it to that base trade scenario at all is a testament to Hero's tenacity and his Forrest Gumpian Protoss antics. But the chances of victory slimmed dramatically after Hero himself was being revealed, and Maru could commit. An appropriate start to a series between these two, who've had such explosive games in the past. But I think Hero can recalibrate. Now, which direction? Whether it's more greedy or more committed, I'm not sure. All right, but I expect a much more decisive action rather than just kind of building up some more gateways. Maru, on the other hand, he'll do it again. And again. And again. Like, if he finds a winning strategy, he'll stick with it. But Maru has always been the best against the best players. There's a reason he's won GSL so many times. When he has time to prepare for specific opponents, he just knows. All right. I think Clem, as a mechanical player, is far and away, possibly the best in the world. You know what? Probably the best in the world. No question. But, strategically, Maru up there with Cyril, and I guess in a very different way, Hero himself. We'll see, though. If it continues to burn Huron torches, or if Hero can cool things somewhat. Twilight Council on the way. Kind of surprised he doesn't try a Stargate here. The new map pool, new-ish map pool, the new community maps, a lot more close air distance maps where you can work with. The command center, Maru went for the double gas, so his command center significantly delayed. The Cyclone is on the way. This is, well, the Reaper is coming back to help deal with the Adept. 2 Marines and a Reaper should be enough. There's a chance he loses any of these units, but if he micros perfectly, should be mostly okay. Same with the Adept, it will survive. And now there's going to be a Stalker. Adept joining in. Got some of its shields back, but here we go. Hero just going to micro with every unit he has. Unfortunately, a Cyclone comes out. If it locks onto the Stalker, it might be able to kill it. He recalls immediately. I don't... no! How many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man? Hero trying something very similar, and it went worse. It went worse this time. So I guess we're calibrating that direction. I can go deeper. Not dig deeper. I don't know if that's better. They both sound weird. Moving on. Maru loads up the Cyclone and 4 Marines into the medevac. They drop in the corner of the base. And while Hero knows the map is... He anticipated this with a shield battery in the main. Draining some energy to reshield the probes, but with the shield battery here, Hero more than ready to defend. Just boxes out the medevac and... While he got caught a little off guard on the other side, he's not going to be caught the same way back at home. Anticipating Maru's timing, and there's a Cloaked Banshee on the way, which is an interesting choice. There's already a shield battery. 2 Cloaked Banshees, of course, can kill probes pretty much through a shield battery, doing too much damage in a single volley. The Reaper being stalked. Gonna be a lot more dramatic of a chase this time, but finally gets it. Medevac is heading out. Hero will spot it. He definitely saw it. Yeah. He's even coming back to defend. Templar Archives on the way. Wow. Okay, so Hero very much actively shoring up the exact weaknesses he had in the... Hey, this Marine just cash... Hey, anyone? Hello? Hello? Hey? The Marine... Billy! Why are you still alive? Well, it will spot the Templar Archives. This Marine just... somewhat ironically a complete hero for the Terrans. Getting vision on the Templar Archives, keeping everything busy. That Marine was just there to die, but wow. Okay, so before Storm can even really get started, Maru will just send it across the map. He's got 2 Cloaked Banshees. The Tacti Boys are coming with the army. Blink Stalkers in the main base. Here we go. The boys are pulled off the line. There's nothing back at home to defend. Storm is only a third of the way done. 2 Cloaked Banshees headed for the main. He energy recharges the Templar, but without Storm, that's kind of unnecessary. Feedbacks the medevac. The probes are pulled off the line. The SCVs in the front. The Banshees in the main. Hero going to lose so many workers. He cancels Storm, but it looks like he himself will be canceled so far in this series. It's a disaster. 38 probes dead in seconds. And again, Hero will be left with a few Blink Stalkers to play with, but he has less probes than he started with. It is a absolute disaster for Hero. I don't know if we can ever financially recover from this. Again, underestimating the commitment from Maru. He went the complete other direction. Instead of going for a mass gateway army, he sprinted straight up the tech tree to Templar, which left him with precious few units to actually deal with this, and he got caught with Blink Stalkers on the other side of the map. So now Hero is desperately going to blink his way across and find himself in a very it's a disaster. No. It's all over. That is annihilation. GG! Maru, just like that, on match point. He picks another timing and powers through, and Hero unable to deal with it. A disastrous exchange for Hero. But Maru, 2-0. We need some middle ground here. Hero's never been a middle ground player, but Maru just keeps finding those timings. And Hero is overcommitted. We had the Blink Stalkers across the map. He had Psionic Storm in production. And he just didn't have any units at all. Probes not fighting units. Not like SCVs. Part of the reason the SCVs are so good is 1, you have mules back at home. 2, they have more HP. 3, they can repair each other and be healed. 4, they can repair other units. Alright, the probes make scary noises. But, in a straight-up fight, they just outright lose as well. Another benefit of bringing just a few SCVs is any amount, like if you don't manually target Stalkers, for example, any amount of not targeting the army units could be the critical damage needed. So even 4 or 5 SCVs, which Maru may have brought to repair but decided to just fight, can draw enough fire in that scenario to make or break the push. I think he had enough to break through even without them, but oh, Hero. The most consistent thing about Hero is how inconsistent he is. One day he looks like a diamond player who got lucky to be promoted. The next day he's the GSL champion. Sometimes literally that timeline. And honestly, I don't think he's making he's not making mechanical mistakes. He's making strategic mistakes. Like 2 games in a row now. He has underestimated Maru's commitment. But no one underestimates Maru 3 times in a row. That's not true. That doesn't really work here. Just pretend I said something. Fill in something clever and profound. Smash that like button and subscribe. And we'll take it from there. Lost track of that one. But the Reaper heading across Ron Tokamak for game number 3. So weird. And Hero has a lot of catching up to do. But it was literally on the in everyone else. You got to do a Reaper wall. This is how you set up your base. Hero's like, I like this spot. This is a good spot. And this won't get in the way. Hero's sick of walling off his own units. Honestly, I've always felt like, especially in the main base, Protoss have a tendency to wall off maybe for the Reaper, and then that ends up backfiring for the rest of the game. Because Marines, Liberator, anything else that comes in later, and anything else that comes in later just ends up using it against you. Charge lots are not known for their range. So walling off the natural makes some sense, though it same potential issues. Partially because of the danger of Hellions in the early game. Just running by and killing all your probes, even if you have units to defend. Cyclone locks onto the hallucination, but it will see everything it needed to. Reaper! Well, that is the downside of not bothering with the Reaper wall. Maru. I don't think he's looking to make it out of this one. We'll get taken down before he can get a second kill. hallucinated Phoenix headed across. Using that energy recharge. The third base. Wait, the probe spotted it. Blink, still a long way off. In fact, a significantly later blink. He did invest in the sentry before the twilight. But this is a much more defensive blink. In fact, before he goes for Robo at all. We're assuming he does, but it's very late. Maru calls the bluff. There's only one stalker there. Drops a mine. Hero offering the sacrifice. Retargets onto the stalker. Without blink, it's unable to escape. Another. Gets one. And without blink, can't chase down the medevac. Maru gets decent pickoffs, but Hero has a quick third, which means worker damage is not as relevant here. Maru has an army, and he's going to send it across the map. A couple tactic boys on the way. Woo! Overtime. Well, 3 SCVs coming with the army. Maru? Cyclone, Banshee, no cloak. And Hero has a lot of stalkers. Blink is done, and he can fight them on the field. Trying to chase things down. Hero has successfully stalled this out. He's going to cut off the reinforcements with the Blink Stalkers. Hero in behind it all, and Maru caught off guard. The SCVs deciding they don't actually want to... Oh, not again. But this time around, Hero is aware of the situation. He can recall back, and he's going to need to. Takes down a siege tank. Will he go for the Banshee as well? If he's going to recall, charge is on the way. He recalls back to the base that's about to be under attack. He may have just a moment before the tank siege. Guardian Shield blocks in right over the top of everything. Gets one of the siege tanks. The other one should be taken down. Widowmine in the main. Good reaction from Hero in the midst of all this. Both players on top of it right now. And Maru keeps Prairie Dog in the mine. Will be taken out. Citizens arrest from the probes. The medevac. One more shot and one more kill. Brings it down, and Hero defends on all fronts. Finally. Hero's warmed up to the occasion. Maru unable to make progress across the map in time. The Blink Stalker's doing damage. He recalls back literally at the last possible second before the siege tanks are in position. Diffuses the mine drop, and now Hero has a Robo-Bay on the way. He's got 62 probes. How many gates? 4 gates. Not great, not terrible. He agrees. 2 more added on. But between the destruction of that army and the Robo-Bay on the way, Hero in a much better position to deal with any follow-up attacks. And very notably, not adding on any more probes as well, though he may want to after losing a couple to a casual Banshee coming in now. Blink Stalker's looking to chase it. Flies off into the timeout corner. Bad Banshee. No more murder. Until Hero uses Select Army and forgets about those Stalkers. Stim, Combat Shield. Couple more medevacs on the way. And how are the boys feeling? That's the question. War Prism with some charge lots inside. We'll keep everything tied up back at home. And Maru's going to have some very tough decisions. This is the first time Hero has really had the initiative. And Maru has to decide, does he stay or does he go? Because if he goes, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be troubling. But if he stays, it could be twice as much. So, recall. Hero using recall pretty much on cooldown to keep the pressure on without committing his units too far. Not going for a 4th base, but instead building up the unit count. Siege tanks on the high ground. Hero blinks away. +1 about to be done. But there's already a Colossus and extended thermal lance is on the way. The pieces are being put together. The tactic boys are pulled. 140 supply across the board. Here comes Maru. The charge lots are in position to potentially flank. Try not to show them too early. There's only 2 medevacs, and they're already drained of energy. Couple Vikings overhead. The boys! The boys are a little late and can be cut off or cut up by the charge lots. He's going to try to jump on the army. The boys are intercepted. The auto turrets aren't going to happen. The Vikings can be taken down. A disjointed attack will be crushed by Hero's army. The reinforcements coming across. Still a dangerous amount of marauders here. The initial wave was crushed, but the reinforcements take down one of the Colossi. The other one sipping on a shield battery, and Maru just taps it out. Hero is finally on the board. Still a little dicier than he may have liked, but it ends up being a decisive victory at the end. He's able to shut down every dimension of Maru's attack, from the early commitment to the tank push and the Banshees, and comes out on top. He clearly adjusted. Didn't overcommit on probes. Didn't try to build up so many gateways he couldn't actually afford them, but instead, just the right amount. And he burns his way through Maru's army. Even then, if he hadn't set up the flank, if he hadn't set up the charge lots to come in from another angle, or cut off the SCVs, that's still a very dangerous proposition, as you get caught at the wrong angle, and well, the Terrans can jump on it so quickly. But Maru caught trying to guess a timing at that stage. Yeah, I love Hero's new wall-off method. I mean, we talked about it last game, but it appears he's settled on just around the middle area, you know, around there. Just put it over there somewhere. Hero, the architectural savant of some kind. I don't know how many series he's won because of his SimCity, but I definitely can tell you he's lost some because of it. Mostly in Protoss versus Zerg. It's more obvious when the setup of your buildings is the liability in Protoss versus Zerg, but it's more insidious against Terran because of the weaknesses of Protoss units, which, well, the Terrans, all their units are ranged except for the frontline forces, aka the SCVs. So wall-offs end up working against you in many scenarios. Has Maru built a third command center this series? No. Do we think he'll see one? Do we think he'll build one? Do I think he'll build one? I know I said we. Well, if I'm wrong, I can include everyone. That's called diluting responsibility, and this way you can't blame me for it. But I'm going to commit and say doubtful. Yes, that's what commitment sounds like. It's the flavor of the month. And honestly, I have yet to see... Ooh, nicely done. I have yet to see a reliable build against these timings. The thing is, it's not a specific build. The idea of 1 to 2 base Terran SCV pull tank timings is not new. Okay? That's been happening for the better part of 15 years. There's been these sort of metas. It's partially map dependent. The rush distance is relevant. But it's partially the general meta itself. Like, Terrans have been kind of turtling up against Blinkstalkers for months now. Like, you see Clem versus Max Packs every other day. Clem versus Hero, where it's the Blinkstalkers versus the Siege Tank Bulwark setup. But Cure has shown that you can still find those timings with SCVs. And it's a very thin line for Protoss when you stop focusing on economy and when you start focusing on arm. And you kind of, much like, he faked the interference matrix, by the way. Or faked the cloak for Banshees, but it's going to be a medevac. We'll see if, Hero calls his bluff here. How will we know whether he's calling the bluff? Shield battery, probably. Thing is, a shield battery in the main is just kind of a good practice in general, so... And he's sending out another hallucinated Phoenix. I think it's like 3 out of 10 parts the map pool. Like 3 out of 10 parts the general meta. And 4 out of 10 parts the reason to remember the name. I think at this stage. Don't know why I described it all like that. But, Widowmine drop comes in. Hero a bit late on the reaction, but Blink is not done. It was a sentry first, so later Blink. Marine. Looking around, just in case. Definitely wouldn't put it past Hero. Like, he is not scared to commit to cheese with it all on the line. Like, he doesn't have a safe macro build to fall back to. If he thought a Dark Shrine was the way to go, a shrine to his greatest frenemy, Dark, he would go for it. So, I'm not surprised Maru taking a look around, but here we go. The tanks are on the way. The boys? No boys pulled. He ended up building a Banshee and maybe regretting not actually getting Cloak now, though. Wouldn't have helped with the Observer right overhead. Cyclone chases down the Phoenix. Hallucinated Phoenix. Robo Bay is on the way. And by on the way, I mean it just finished, so... Colossus should be next on the agenda. And Hero? You see him much more slowly progressing his economy. Making sure he has access to Colossi. Just one forge for upgrades. Like, he's whittled down the build to exactly what he needs and no more. Widowmine taken out. Raven overhead helping out. There are 2 siege tanks tucked in by the natural command center. Making it very improbable that the stalkers can get anything done. Maru. He doesn't have a reactor. Yeah, he does not have a reactor on his starport, which is kind of a giveaway in and of itself. If you are looking for any sort of later game, you have a reactor on that starport. He's going. All right. The only question is how many of the boys does he pull? Waiting on Stim. Combat Shield +1. The triple threat will be finishing. Four siege tanks. A whole bunch of bio. 60... 70 army supply. Yes, he's dueling. It's gonna be most of it. The entire base. 20 boys pulled off the line. The Raven being targeted. Blankstalkers buying as much space as they can. If he can get the Raven, that'd be massive. Extended thermal lance about to complete. +1. The Raven is taken out of the sky. Huge pickoff. Nevermore, says Hero. And now charge is nearly on the way. The boys are back in town, but the extended thermal lance is done. He can retreat further back. He manages to make the siege tank siege up out of range. The base is not currently under fire. Has time for one more warp and charge and +1. Goes forward with the charge lots. Blinks over to the left flank. Tries to target down some of the tanks, but the tanks will knock down the Colossi in turn. And, ooh, one Colossus. Gotta be careful not to stub its toe. Gets reshielded. 4 HP. Hero with another warp and 22 SCVs dead. That leaves the army supply still very strong here. The Colossus obliterated instantly, but the SCVs were taken out. The Stalkers spread out. The tanks exposed. And Hero does not break. Maru unable to break through. And that means we're going to game number 5. Hero holds. The margins on these games are so thin. If Hero doesn't have that Colossus popping out at that exact time, if he doesn't have the Stalkers microing perfectly, if Maru has the SCVs controlled a little bit better, if he's able to get his timing 10 seconds quicker, woulda, coulda, shoulda. We'll see who's regretting more at the end. Game 5 on ley lines. Maru, what are you doing? Where are you going? Why are you like this? Is this an NG Bay block or a proc? That is very early. That's a proc. Oh my god. Oh, sweet Tassadar. Ah, it's Maru. This is the most Maru thing I have ever seen. Game 5. Time for Proxy 2 Rex. I'm gonna go out on a very short limb and say Marauder. Hero's looking for it. He's suspicious. Will he find it? Thing is, he's looking, but by the time he potentially finds it, it's going to be too late. Well, he's just coming across the map. Uh-oh. Gateway first. He's got a Zealot on the way, which he can cancel if there's no NG Bay block in order to build the Nexus. But he may just wait. There's no command center. He's still building the Zealot. And there's a suspicious lack of barracks. He's gonna come in and see only one gas. It's Marauders. Now, does he try to hold? Maru? He keeps the SCV out of vision. It's going to be another SCV pull. It's just this one is a bit more committed. He's already pulled 2. No concussive. He's making sure he gets the Marauders first. And very interesting, not even bothering with concussive. He's min-maxing this so hard. Concussive is on the way. The SCVs out in front. Even one shot of any kind here. Hero effectively won the GSL finals by holding almost this exact build by about 4 HP on a pylon. He's got to do it again here. Another shield battery on the way. Building up the Stalkers. The Nexus is finished, which means he can use energy recharge on those shield batteries. 3 Marauders. Concussive shell now done. Hero. It's all on the line here. 5 Marauders. That's a lot of damage. I think he can burn right through the batteries with that. He needs more. The boys! Oh no! The boys are coming back. The rest of them are coming across the map. As Maru, picking away at the shield battery, hasn't taken a single point of damage on any of those Marauders. Takes out the probe. Everything's pulled off the line, and here we go. The Stalkers almost targeted down the probes. Kited back, concussive shell gets the Zealot. Warp gate is done. A single sentry is being built. The shield battery's trying to hold. He has enough for energy recharge. Force field is optimistic. The SCVs are killed. Warps in another Stalker. The shield, but that's so many Marauders. That is so many Marauders. Oh, it's not a super pylon. He locks in a couple more Marauders. He already used the energy recharge, trying to defend. The shield batteries are running low on energy. He's got another one near the mineral line. But that's also a precarious position of its own. Couple SCVs eating more damage. The Marauder count. 10 Marauders against 3 Stalkers. A Zealot Shield battery taken down. 14 to 6 workers. But the last probes are pulled. He's targeting down the Marauders. There's just too many of them. We cannot get out. They are coming. And another one trickles in. A single sentry. No energy left. The probes are pulled back up to the high ground, but 11 probes left. The pylon. The last stalker. There's one mule mining back at home. That's all he needs. The stalker tried to target it. Hero fighting to the last probe. But he has nothing left to fight with. Maru with the most committed all-in yet. 5 games in a row. Quite an indictment on the matchup at the moment, but Hero unable to withstand the onslaught. He put up quite a challenge, but Maru just powered right through it and finishes it off with a proxy 2-Rax Marauder. The sharpest, most committed possible cheese with pretty much every SCV he owned. And he takes the series 3-2. Well, hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully it made your day a little bit better. And if you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. But thank you for watching. Thank you to our Mule Tier patrons for bringing in the extra minerals. Big Jiggy Devin, Door Cape, Mario, Random Guy in Suit. And to everyone, I hope you enjoyed. Hope I made your day a little bit better. Good luck, have fun. I'll see you next time. Congratulations, Maru. Stay chill.